We're obsessed with the Connie Pheiff Show. It's about a lifestyle shift to move up or out.
Hey, what's your jam? What's the one thing that really drives you? What makes you unstoppable?
It's about opening a new door to live your dream.
People give up way too early on their dreams.
It's about enjoying the journey. It's about keeping it real.
Damn, now the interviewee is interviewing the interviewer. I like this.
It's all about you.
I knew there was something else I wanted to do. Stop taking shit so seriously. Y'all can do this. Take an outrageous look at life and laugh.
This is the Connie Pheiff Show.
We love your voice. We love your jam. You need to be on radio.
And now your host, Connie Pheiff.
Hello, and you're listening to the Connie Pheiff Show. I'm Connie Pheiff, your Unstoppable Diva. And I can't thank everyone enough for being here, for listening. We got an update on our new stats, and it is just amazing the number of people that are jumping on and wanting to know more about us. And even more exciting, this past weekend, I was at an event in Baltimore, and quick brag, I just want to keep sharing it. I was nominated for the Trailblazer of the Year Award, Mentor of the Year Award, and the Radio Personality of the Year Award, of which I won, and also our show won for the Show of the Year from the Edgy magazine. And I mean, just what an honor just to be recognized for the work that we do. And actually had a laugh because I had people coming up to me, of course, congratulating me and saying, "Oh, how long have you been doing this?" And I'm like, 7 years. Like you're really it's been time, and you really have to work at it. And so many people think, oh, you become an overnight success. I mean, you really don't. You have to work at what it is that you want and what it is that you do. And I can't thank my team enough for everything that they do. Really, they're the ones that just hand me something and say, "Here, this is what you have to do," and I do it. They're really in charge of me. But they're A players. I love them all to death. And everyone here works together because we are working with the world's most greatest minds who are keeping the passion of life activated. And that's what we're all about. Now, speaking of a team, and that's what we're going to be talking about today on the show, because we have with us today a guest. He's an executive business coach, the A player. So welcome to the Connie Pheiff Show, Rick Crossland.
Thank you, Connie. Wonderful to be here today.
I am thrilled to have you here. Be talking about A players. The first thing really I want you to do, if you would, define what's an A player.
Well, great question. And I'll tell you what, A players can be a little controversial, so we need a good definition. Here's the definition for your listeners. An A player is top 10% in the industry for the salary you're offering. So we can get back to that. But if you think of a band of salary, maybe a $40,000 candidate, a 50, a 60, we would expect more of a $60,000 candidate than say our $40 or $50,000 candidate. So it's what I love about that definition, though, it's the market. So we can have a team of A players, and I know we're going to talk about that.
Right.
So that's the first part of the definition is top 10% of the industry for the salary you're offering. That's first part. Second part is the second part is you'd enthusiastically rehire the person. So if you talk to an executive, say at a bar and say, "Hey, how's your team?" Of that team, who would you enthusiastically rehire? This is a neat question. Like enthusiastically.
That is a neat question.
Yeah. This person's okay. Sheila, she's okay. Tony, he's okay. But enthusiastically, no. Sarah enthusiastically. So those people that they're passionate about, who they would cry if they left their team, those are the A players. And now one third part of the definition, it's somebody who models your core values. So say if your core value is reliability or your core value is trustworthiness, and teams should have core values, by the way.
Yes.
Then these people would lead the way. Now, we promised not to swear on the show earlier.
Go for it with the shit.
Well, there is a thing, I'll dumb this down a little bit. Should you hire a jerk, right? This person's top in sales. However, they're a jerk. don't hire jerks.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, you knew the one alliterative that we won't say, don't hire that person. You should not hire jerks. Jerks, here's why. Jerks don't abide by your core values. And core values drive those amazing cultures that every business owner wants, that every person wants to be a part of. So if you have jerks on your team, you can't have good core values. And then the whole culture unravels. So that's why you can't hire a jerk.
So I was thinking about this question a little bit. So, I mean, you have CEOs, you have people that are sitting in the executive suite, the C-suite, and can they be jerks? Yeah. I mean, do we assume and expect them to all be A players?
We have to. And here's why, right? So if one of my team members, Josh, just came in. So if I'm a little bit of a jerk to Josh, but Josh was late, if Josh didn't listen, I mean, there are a time when we have to maybe not be our most kind self, but for principle, and I will say at the core, if Josh knows I'm fundamentally a kind person, and he's done something to take me out of my normal state.
Right.
That's a little bit different. I'm talking about the perennial jerk, the person who doesn't care about others. And this is fundamental to coaching to A players is I find a lot of business leaders don't tell their people the truth, right? So they avoid those critical conversations.
Right.
Oftentimes I'll get people like, hey, how can my podcast be better? I'm like, do you want honest feedback? Yes, I do, right? And they can take it, right? It's the old Jack Nicholson. You can't handle the truth, but you care enough to actually give them that feedback.
Right. And you have to be open enough to hear it. You need to listen.
Right. So it's interesting about this NICE, and there's a couple of organizations. I'm in Columbus, Ohio, where they're known for nice cultures. NICE should stand for Nothing Inside Me Cares Enough. Right. So a lot of times, think about this. Layoffs come at some point. Hopefully we don't have those in our future, but layoffs finally come. We've never given that person the feedback that they're actually last on our team. They're a B-, a C player.
Right.
And then, it's layoffs, right? We hide under layoffs as opposed to, you're not living up to your A player agreement. You're not doing what the job entails. And I'm warning you. And a lot of folks, and I see this as an executive coach, right? They're challenging you to actually be a leader, and they're seeing what they can get away with.
Yes.
And if you let it slide and you don't have that courage, in fact, if we have time, we'll talk about the 7 C's of leadership. One of the 7 C's is courage, right? You have to be courageous to call someone out and coach them. A players love that coaching.
Yeah, and they do, and they're open for it, and they thrive for it, and they're open to new ways of doing things. They're open to new suggestions. Going back to something that you just said about if they're a B player or a C player. Again, I come out of corporate. I was CEO, and there were people on the team that they didn't quite live up to the job expectations, but when it came somebody truly believing in the values and the core vision and mission of the organization, they were up here. So when it came time when we had to let people go at one point, I had to weigh that out versus the one who really excelled in the role that they were in versus their commitment to the organization. Tell me if I'm wrong. They were the first ones to go.
Right. So that is I'll call that a phase 1, right? That's a good way to start looking at it. I would say better is, you really need to look like an NCAA sports coach. Yeah. And here's why the NCAA, right? Because Mike Krzyzewski, Nick Saban, pick your top coach. These people make millions of dollars. They are because they make millions of dollars for the university. They're very valuable to the university.
Yes, right.
Mike Krzyzewski or Nick Saban or any of them, Dabo Swinney, spend more time in the living rooms of high school recruits than we do recruiting top executives. And, and this is fun. You get an apologist say, well, they have multi-million-dollar businesses. Well, so do you, right? So why is it any different? And then the light bulb comes on. So at that point, can I find better? As I like to say, if Aaron Rodgers is available to the Cleveland Browns, sorry, Baker Mayfield, Aaron Rodgers would be, if he was available, the Browns would have him so quick your head would spin. And by the way, the general manager would be fired if it ever came out that Aaron Rodgers was available and they didn't pursue him.
Yes.
And so you got to be a talent scout. And you need to always have your pulse on the market and know who else is out there. And the cultures that I coach, we always have new people coming in. Now, you may have listeners go, I'd love to have people coming in. Rick, how do I do that?
Yes.
We have them come in, have a cup of coffee. And in our cultures, it's like, is that an A player? And sometimes it's like, hey, do you have a coaching session? Do I need to know anything? How am I doing?
Right.
As a leader, you're in a great position, right? And we just want to challenge people to be their best. But you need a credible threat that you can find better. And if you can't, you're caught between a rock and a hard place of the person who's high core values or the higher performer who maybe doesn't abide by core values.
Right.
And we could talk all day long. Your other option, of course, is to find out what's the head trash that's preventing your core value person who's doing well on core values from underperforming.
Right.
And you'll find that they have self-limiting beliefs that's holding their performance back.
Yes. And there's a lot more that went behind a lot of these decisions leading up to that. But, that was just, an overarching example of, you're looking at somebody that's really true to the organization versus are they an overperformer? So there's a lot of variables in there. And from what I've seen from what you're doing, I mean, you take really take a deeper look into that and working with people and coaching them and helping them. Now, you also talked about recruiting the A players, but can a team can a team be comprised of all A players?
The answer to that is absolutely. And here's why. One of the methodologies we use is called top grading. It's all used in recruiting, but you can also do internal interviews.
Okay.
And if you think about upgrading your team, right, you're moving a B from an A, you're moving a C to a B.
Right.
Most of your average managers, they are thrilled to death if they can get a C to a B level. If you're looking at an all-star team, right, because you can do this, right? I'll use a different example. I know we were both in scouting, right? We could talk about, I mean, I love young people, and that's a huge opportunity. Maybe we could talk about recruiting young people. If you went on a hike, there's a scout camp called Philmont, right? You go do a 70, 80-mile hike. It's like a Boy Scouts, dream. It's their fantasy. It's outstanding. We came down and I had a team of A player scouts, and I also had some Bs. Well, fortunately, we had no Cs on the hike, right? If we had Cs on the hike, we would have been delayed. We would have missed activities. And I'll never forget this. Two of the A players came up and we were having a canteen afterwards. We're sweaty, dirty, waiting to hit the showers, and said, Mr. Crossland, were we A players? And I said, absolutely, you two were A players. And so what would it look like to have 100%? And two strapping Eagle Scouts came walking by. I said, well, think of the two weaknesses in our team. And they gave me names. I said, what if those two strapping scouts, you think they're A's, right? So you're always upgrading and adding better talent. So if you went on a hike, you got rid of the whiners and the laggards.
Right.
You went back to base camp and you were able to re-recruit the top scouts in this case. That's a good model for what your team should look like, right? You're always out there looking for better.
Yes. Back
to young people, I think one of the fascinating things is, can you find untapped talent at a lower salary point? Because it's the best team money can buy. You have to build a salary cap in your business because that's one of the biggest factors. In fact, it's the biggest fixed expense in any business, is salaried headcount.
Right. In any business. Exactly. So, so go there. So let's talk about recruiting. Now, are we recruiting at a lower talent?
What we're doing is we're finding feeder industries where we might find absolutely fine talent that's undervalued in your industry.
Okay.
Right? So I'll give you an example, and this happened today, right? One of my clients is a commercial furniture retailer. So he sells office furniture. He does very well at it. We did strategic planning on Friday, and I said, hey, can I offer where I think we get some talent? Well, where do you think? Retail furniture, right? So retail furniture is lower paid. It's a tough job. They have to work weekends and nights. It's really underappreciated. Usually they're very professional. They're professionally dressed. They speak well. We have a better opportunity. So we can use retail furniture and actually I already have a candidate for this business to business opportunity. Okay. Another scaling up client.
Maybe I should talk to you because we just had a whole team meeting this morning with our HR because we're scaling and we need more people.
Hey,
and we're like,
there's a call there. Yeah.
Maybe where do we get them?
Yep. Exactly. You get some free consulting on this call, but find out where you can do the feeder. Now, the only thing is you need to be able to do development. And it's funny because this is one of the biggest ways to retain people is through great development. We define employee development as stuff that will progress you at our company.
Okay.
if you're getting the same ads that I am for Amazon, right? They have this like, well, Amazon's training me, I'm going to leave the company. This is incredible. Right. And I followed that by, I think that's actually pretty stupid. Like, why? There's so much in logistics and distribution. Why do I want an Amazon employee to go off and become a nurse?
Right.
I'm sorry. You got to be a little bit selfish.
Yes.
If you're investing in people, I want them to stick at our business, and you need to provide that development and the growth so they can add value to your business.
Right. Absolutely.
So
you want those that are adding the value to the business. They have the skills, they have the techniques to do what it takes to get the job done, but you also want them to be the cheerleader too.
Absolutely. And a lot of these folks who are underappreciated, they're very grateful. And when you share that opportunity, you lay out the advantages and you have a path for them to get there.
Right.
If you do it right, you're catching lightning in a bottle. And we do that in cultures, and you build this amazing team, but you have to be willing to truly invest in their development and education.
I think that's really a big piece of it. And I'll be honest with you, the challenge since I've left corporate and become an entrepreneur, the people have been the challenge because, a lot of people are doing the virtual work, and be honest with you, I want somebody back in my office. I want somebody here that hands-on that I can work with, because I feel the training is much more valuable. And like you just said, they're going to stay around a long time if we invest in them.
Right. Now, here's the rub, and it comes back to being an A-player leader.
Okay.
And I do know this. Most business leaders do not know what their people should be doing. If folks go to my website, there's a document called an A-player agreement. They can get a draft of it. The A-player agreement is a job description on steroids. We pick between 3 to 5 major thrusts in the role, and then we detail daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly what they need to be doing. The more numbers in the page that quantify those activities, the better. And if I want to get a CEO or a senior leader, a sales leader, a delivery leader, a production leader nervous, I'll ask them to draft an A-player agreement. Now, why are they nervous about writing this? The simple answer is they do not know the job their people are supposed to do.
Right.
And I see this time and time again.
Yeah.
And it is a fundamental void in leadership. They are praying for results, but they have no freaking idea what their people really need to be doing. And
so if they don't know, how are their people going to know? Hence, no results.
Correct. So we define an A, right? An A in a position. Yeah. So the A-player agreement is how you get an A in a position.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Very, very good. That's a really good tool. So again, download. It's on your website.
Yes, under it's aplayeradvantage.com under the resources tab. We have tons of resources on the site. Okay. Please take advantage of them. In fact, we'll talk about some special offers for your listeners.
Yeah.
But the A-player agreement is out there. It's a template. You can get the PDF. And I'll challenge your readers. They are hard to craft, right? You really need to know the position. But the more you do that, Deming said, a great business is systems over people.
Yes.
And had the chance to do an interview just like this with the great Michael E. Gerber. And he said the same thing, right? And here's why, right? How can we expect people to do great if we don't know the role? So we need to build those systems so we can, as their leaders, show them. And then we can coach them hard. Poor Josh was in here right before this call, and I made him repeat back what his marching orders were today. And, a little sweat on his brow, but
I know, right?
He's doing that retail search. But you can pour into people and you can coach them just like a sports coach. If 2 things, if you know what you're doing, and 2, you care.
Well, and again, I'll just talk about me personally, because I was doing a lot of coaching, a lot of corporate consulting, and I felt that there was always that piece missing. And even for my business, I mean, I'm not running a large corporation like I was, but you still have to run it that way. You still have to have your processes in place. The data is available. The stats are important, but having those processes in place so people understand where they need to be and where they need to go it's really critical to the success of your business. We need to take a really quick break, so hang in there. We'll be right back. The Connie Pheiff Show is heard everywhere. You can find The Connie Pheiff Show on most of your favorite networks. It's time to now recognize and thank our major networks for all of their support. In the house, we have Conscious Business Radio, C-Suite Radio, Transformation Radio, iHeartRadio. We are also heard on Google Play, Apple, Radio, Stitcher, and so many more that I just can't keep up with them all. I'm Connie Pheiff, your Unstoppable Diva. Learn more about our gym and how we can work together at my fancy schwanky website, ConniePheiffShow.com. I'll see you over there. Until then, like, share. Now back to the show. And we're back with Rick Crossland. Rick, you said you have some other giveaways. Why don't you share them as well?
Yeah, we'll get those to your folks. So if you go to pardon me, can we redo that one? Are the redos on the show?
There's no redo. Just keep going.
All right. If you go to aplayeradvantage.com/podcast offers, there's 3 offers for your listeners here today. So the first one is the take the free Scaling Up Business Assessment. Mm-hmm. It covers people, strategy, execution, and cash. And it will give you a really quick, it only takes about 5 to 10 minutes to do, give you a really powerful overlook of how you're doing on those 4 key factors. Okay. People, strategy, execution, and cash. And by the way, your listeners can take advantage of all 3. The second is most people want better accountability on their team. So the second offer is you can have free access to the Building Active Accountability in your organization, which is on A Player Advantage. So that's a 25 to 50 minute online course, self-paced. Your folks have to actually answer some questions, and I can get all that data back to you on how they feel their own accountability is. So there's an assessment and a video training. And then the last one is, for those who are serious about improving their business. Now I work with multi-million-dollar businesses. You can book a free 30-minute consultation with me. That's worth $750.
Is there any criteria of who you would do the free assessment with?
A serious person. Let's just put it that way. Okay. So if you're serious about growing your business, most of my businesses are over 5 million in revenue. In fact, most are over 10 million. But if you're serious about building your business and you want to apply what we talked, if you have a great question and you want a roadmap on what that looks like, happy to. I'm an executive coach. I work with very good businesses. My number one motivation is to help you. If there's a fit down the road, we'll go from there. But I want people to take advantage of that. If they want to get some value and really, figure out what they can do to propel their business in the area of people, strategy, execution, and cash, they'll leave with some great specific things they can do and some next steps.
Well, that's great. I just want to thank you for doing that. And because those tools are so critical to any size organization.
No one's achieved peak performance without a coach. I've had my own coach. Her name's Jennifer Hines, and we've worked together for, I think it's 11 years now. It's more than 10. So
I have one absolutely. I agree with you. I have one as well. And I strongly recommend that somebody have a coach, a business coach like yourself that could really come in and you look at it from a different perspective than somebody who's actually in it and working day to day and in the trenches. They're not looking, at the bigger view from someone like a coach that can do it for them.
Right. And how many of us can truly look in the mirror and say, we don't have another gear, right? Are we really fully working to our fullest potential?
Right.
That's a very hard question to answer.
Yes, it's right. Very hard question.
As soon as you put your hand up, you can hold it up higher.
Right. It's like, oh, yeah, maybe me.
But I'll take that call with anybody who quote unquote gets it. So if you get it, happy to do a quick call, and I guarantee I'll help your business.
Great. So the one question I do ask everyone who comes on the show is, what makes you unstoppable?
I will performance to happen.
Okay.
So I started my business in the Great Recession. Right. So we refused to participate in the recession. Okay. And there's a point. What I mean by that is we always figure it out. Back to being unstoppable. We'll always figure it out. It might not always be the first time, but we've been blessed over the years that, the strategies work better than 9 out of 10 times out, and usually if it's that, 1 time out of 10, it's usually an executional problem. So we unrelentlessly keep willing a result to happen.
Nice. Yeah. And like you said, no matter what business that you're in or relationship that you're in, you're always going to come up to speed bumps or road bumps, but you want to make sure that you're pushing forward. So, it made me think of something else because, and we talk about, we keep moving forward and there's things that happen and looking in the mirror and really telling the truth about yourself. But it's also really important to have those people around you. So, I mean, really like for you, like who's in your cabinet, your truth tellers, would you rely on your coach to be really telling you those truth and those toughest?
Oh, absolutely. And if she feels I'm stagnant, then the harder questions come, right? And, it's kind of like, I'll use my son as an example. I won't call him out by name, but, hey, how'd the studying go? Oh, It went well. Right. As opposed to, hey, I knocked out 4 hours on linear algebra, which is a very hard course, right? So, and when you're coaching your people are used to just giving you the baseline to get you off your back, right? But you've got to get that culture where you're asking specifics.
Right. And it's just asking the right questions. And a really good coach does that.
Right. And ask the hard questions. And there's actually a structure to how you ask the questions to escalate their strategic importance.
That's right. And even as a leader, it's also very, very critical to ask those difficult questions, but also sometimes taking that difficult action.
Right. And as we talked earlier, that is something that I see a lot as an executive coach is you're giving your people the hall pass. And a lot of times when I'm doing a presentation, it's like, why do we tolerate B players? And one of the questions I put up there is, I don't want to have the crucial conversation. And that's exactly why. And it's absolutely critical that you have that conversation. I call it the 7 C's of leadership. Are we challenging the process, right? If things are good in your organization, how are you challenging the status quo? So that's the first C. Right. The second one is clarity. Are the instructions clear? And I think all the leaders on this podcast would agree. And if you ask your people, hey, how clear am I? Scale 1 to 10? You might not like your answer. It's not 9s and 10s like we think it is. It's more like a 6. Right. So how do I get more clear at taking my vision and transforming that to the group? We use the one-page strategic plan. Really helps on that. If we have time, we can talk about that. The next one is, am I credible? So we talked about getting folks and upgrading your teams. Do you know how to do it yourself? Take sales as a simple example. If you've not sold your own business, it's actually unconscionable that you have somebody else do it. Because if you haven't figured it out as the entrepreneur, somebody's going to get their ass shot off because you don't know how to do it. And we're committing business malpractice if we're not doing that. So that's credibility. Okay. The fourth one is congruence. I see leaders flip-flop all the time. I stopped what I was doing when I was out in Orange County the other day, right? Somebody wanted me to reactivate a candidate that they had gotten called on. By the grace of God, the guy said he's still interested. Then I come back and the leader's like, well, I changed my mind. And I actually yelled at my client. I said, you know how tough A players are. You said you love this guy. Right. I said, if you're going to burn out good people, if you stop and start, I attached an article I just wrote on this. And he said, I get the message. I'll call him. Right. Know what you're doing. And if you want your people to stay late, you can't be the first one hitting the golf course. You got to look at all those little things. Are you walking the talk? Well,
that's an important one, though. If I could just stop and interject for a minute, because, like you said, like they're chasing the next, golden nugget, and they're running out the door thinking, I'm the leader. I can go golfing and let the team work the extra hours. It's really, like you said, it's walking the talk. It's it's being that leader, being that servant leader, being there in the trenches. Years ago, when I was a director for an organization and we had a team of researchers and we were on crunch time. So I stayed late. I went out and got a couple trays of pizza and worked with them. And my boss, the president of the company, actually came down on me and told me that that was inappropriate behavior, that I'm their boss, not their friend. I said, no, I'm their leader, and I'm going to support them. Right.
And what you were doing was leading from the front, not from the top.
Right. So, I didn't last very much longer in that position. I left. I will say that I left.
You might have been working for a B player.
Right. So,
the next one's character. And, this is the stickiest one probably because we all are fallible as human beings. And I think if you really take a study of this, and if you read my book, The A Player, one of the chapters in there talks about, don't tell me you're so squeaky clean, your character's beyond reproach. When's the last time you downloaded illegal software? When's the last time, I was in a 40 zone and 3 cars blew by me at 65 miles an hour this morning. I was wondering where the Dublin police were. We all have our kryptonite.
Right.
Be real with that. Clean up your game. We all have it. How many times, in recruiting do you tell pork pies and lies to a candidate, right? Oh, it's this or that. And I can, I can see the Pinocchio nose growing.
Right.
And I'll call people out on that. And we're all guilty of it. So just realize that we can all be better at improving our character.
Okay.
The next one we talked about earlier was courage. And do you have the courage to tell somebody their baby is ugly, right? And there's a way to do this, which is to be very factual, very constructive, and very specific. And also very often, do you have a coaching culture? And, we do this, we have kumbaya parties and I get my team pizza. Well, that's not, that's a food driven culture, which we talk about elsewhere. Are you actually willing to, one of my guys, Zach today, Zach, are you willing to be better? Yes. I'm like, what was he saying to me? What's up? Right. I said, that's fraternity talk. Stop with the what's up. And I caught him 3 times and he thanked me. Zach's coachable. Okay. And I said, you need to get to the next level. Stop it with this slang. You don't sound like a full-time professional. And he said, thank you. That's a coachable person.
Yes.
The reason I was able to do that was the 7th point, which is caring. And Zach knows I have his back. Zach knows my primary equity is to get him to next level. Okay. My team wants to win. We have co-opetition in the office.
Okay.
I will play best ball with people. And I don't hear anybody else talking about this, but if Zach can do it, Josh can do it. If Josh can do it, then Billy can do it. And these guys hear about it all the time, but it's factual. So if somebody can do it, you can't say, well, Connie's special. Connie has these skills. No, we are going to can what Connie did. And if Connie can do it, then you can do it too. What's your plan? What's your developmental plan to be as good as Connie at XYZ?
Love that. I love that. So, and all of this is in your book, The A Player.
Yes. I only had 5 C's of leadership when the book went to press. We added 2 more there, but you get the gist. Yeah.
I'm sure it's going to continue to grow. Now, you said that you have a copy of a book too that you're going to give away to one of our listeners? If
you'd like, yeah. It's called The A Player, and it's the definitive playbook and guide for employees and leaders who want to play at the highest level.
Okay.
If you're the CEO and gets it, here's the thing with reading books. You can't say as a CEO, well, this cover looked good. Why don't you read it and tell me about it? You need to read it first.
Yeah,
the CEO never gives somebody a book you haven't read. That's my only rule on that.
Okay. We'll have to make sure it's honor system that they do read it.
But we'll do a signed copy. Well, if you want results in your business, right? If you want to be a B player leader, here's the book, right? You flash the book and you say, hey, I won this on a podcast, and how about you take a look? That's a B player. Yes. An A player reads it, digests it, and then applies it with
and then team. Act right. So, we're just about ready. We got to start wrapping up here. But Rick, what are you doing next? It seems like you have so much going on. Where do you go from here?
I want to expand my list of nationwide clients. All the coaching we do is on a platform. The one-page plan is on the cloud, on a secure cloud. So it allows for a lot of remote coaching. Okay. So, I'm looking for those clients who will send the airplane for me so I can pack all my sporting goods and we can have good time while we're doing our strategic planning. That's my big, hairy, audacious goal. We're getting there.
Got that.
So that, just more online courses. Okay. But really just, I want to help as many organizations as I can, and I do that through the strategic planning. Strategic planning drives coaching. Right. And then the growing organization, we add the A players to it. Okay. Great. So I know you talked about your website, aplayeragreement.com. It's actually aplayeradvantage.com. Oh, aplayeradvantage.com. Yeah. And the A Player Agreement, which you liked, is under the resources tab. It's under the resources tab. Okay. Making sure that I got that right. Yeah. So, aplayeradvantage.com. My name's Rick Crossland, and either of those, you should be able to find me. And you're on LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter.
Okay, so we can find you on social. So check them out. Rick, I want to thank you for being here. I mean, the work that you're doing is amazing.
Well, thank you, Connie. Really appreciate that from a high-level coach like yourself.
And you're always welcome back to the show.
Just call me back. I got more to talk about. Be happy to. This is fun.
I know. We could have just kept this. I looked at the clock. I'm like, oh, we got to wrap up.
We're like peas and carrots. I'm picking up what you're laying down.
There you go. You can have the carrots do that. Well, that's all we have for today. Remember, if you want to be seen and heard, you need to be advertising with us on the Connie Pheiff Show. And if you haven't done so yet, check out Talent Concierge. It's a very unique artist talent agency. And if you have a successful career and a story to tell, we want to work with you. And you can learn more at talentconcierge.co, where we are working with the world's most daring minds who are keeping the passion of life activated. Now, this is what we do here. And what we truly believe is that when we touch a heart, we change a life. And when we change a life, we all become unstoppable together. You're listening to the Connie Pheiff Show. And until next time, keep moving your ideas forward. Be unstoppable together and be kind to each other. Bye-bye. Hey, y'all, it's Connie Pheiff. Thank you for listening to the Connie Pheiff Show. Check back often. You don't want to miss any of the good stuff. If you like what you hear and would like to be a guest on the show, head over to theconniefeifshow.com to apply. While you're there, check out our amazing advertising opportunities that will put you right in front of your perfect client. I will see you over there. Do yourself a favor this week. Activate your power and be unstoppable together.